Hello, and welcome to the Success Showcase. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin with the Modern Observer Group, and with me, as always, is Chip Januszewski from the Happiness and Success GPS. Chip, how you doing this week?
Happy holidays. Hey, it's December already. Is this cool or what? It's winding down towards Christmas and it's or whatever else you are celebrating and just so excited. Already seen some family and friends for Thanksgiving and now we're moving ahead. So I just hope everybody out there is in the Hollywood spirits because that but just get out there and enjoy. So I'm doing great. How about you?
Doing fantastic. Yeah, we're about 20 days, I think, from Christmas, if I'm counting right.
Today's the 5th.
So, so we're heading towards the end of the year, already planning stuff for 2023 that I'm excited about. So, yeah, we're wrapping the year up and it's coming on us pretty quickly.
That's great. And our guest today is returning, but she has a new present for everybody coming up in January, which we want her to tell us all about, or next year sometime, but it's in process. And uh,
Yeah,
Care,
speaking of plans for the new year, Care Verikas has been with us before. She's the founder of Dusty Dude Woodworks, and now she is officially a serial entrepreneur with a new project coming up. So, Care, welcome.
Thank you. It's so good to be back again. I love getting to chat with you guys.
And we love having you. So,
absolutely.
tell our listeners about your new plans for 2023. What have you got coming up?
Yeah, so it has been a very busy 2022. I can't believe we're 20 days away from Christmas. That just blows my mind. But yeah, so our newest venture is called the Bristol Bazaar. So brand spanking new. We've got 5,800 square feet that we're currently renovating in downtown Bristol, Connecticut. And people wonder, what is that? What does that mean? Tell us more. And so the Bristol Bazaar is an indoor makers market. We are fully focused on helping and supporting local artisans. So anybody who's making products by hand, that could range from woodworking to clothing to ornaments to be seasonal, jellies, jams, all sorts of different things. Their artisans come in many different shapes and forms. I was just talking to somebody last night who's interested in doing adult coloring books, who's an artist. So I am meeting all sorts of wonderful people, but back to what the bazaar is. So we're an indoor makers market. We can support up to 40 artisans at any given time. And inside the space there's a lot going on under one roof. So in the main area, we have our vendors. So there's 3 different ways that people can vend with us. They could have a table, they could rent a vendor cart. So like something you'd see up in Boston or Massachusetts, where people are, swinging swag and stuff like that. Or we actually have 5 9x5 retail spaces. So all of those options are available for makers to sell their products from. And one of the great things about this area in general is that we are not asking our vendors to be present to sell their product. That is our job. We want to be there to help support our makers so that they can go on and do other shows, or maybe it's them spending time with their family. We want to be there to help them. In addition to obviously the artisans that'll have their product there, we have 2 other spaces. So we have our coffee cocktail lounge. That's going to be a huge win. I'm so excited. So that'll be open early so people can come and get their regular coffees, lattes, hot chocolates, and then closing late with us with amazing espresso martinis. So very excited about that. And then the last piece is our event space. So it's really like a flexible space. You can use it, about 675 square feet, can be used for classes, parties, offsite meetings, really flexible and open to the community for renting.
Yep. And I went to visit Care a couple of months ago. We kind of visualized the place as we were walking around in there because it's very much under construction, but it's right in downtown Bristol in a very convenient location, although it took me a while to find it, even though I was in a parking lot about 20 feet away from it. But it's just amazing, all the different things that you have going on there. And what you were talking about is being able to take care of them while they're not there. I mean, you have, I guess, a pretty unique checkout system and so on and so forth, so that you can handle all that for you. So, I mean, everything is really streamlined that way. But also the way that you got into this, you told me the story about the funding up front and so on and so forth that made this whole thing possible. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. So we would not be here with our second business without a lot of different people. So the city of Bristol has been instrumental in everything. The mayor has been behind us from, day one of us really launching Dusty Dude and getting that going. And he's been supportive there, and same now with the Bristol Bazaar. And we are actually an ARPA funded project here in Bristol. So that's American Rescue Plan Act. And we are so very grateful. I have never worked with grant funding before in my small business experience, so it's definitely been a learning curve, but the team, both with the city and UHY, which is another company that the city has brought in, has just been phenomenal and understanding and flexible, because they know we've never done this before. And again, another group of people that have been just huge for us is the Central Connecticut Chamber of Commerce. Without them, we wouldn't have even known that this grant funding existed. We had no idea until I went and had breakfast with Katie, who's now the vice president there. And every quarter we usually catch up and get breakfast. And she's like, "Oh, by the way, hadn't you heard about this?" And I was like, "I must have missed the email somehow." And from there, we went home and we applied that night, or I think it was that weekend maybe. And the chamber just really had our back throughout the whole process. They were there, they were, fighting for us. They were educating us about all the things that were happening. But yeah, without this ARPA grant funding, we would not be here having this conversation, which I'm just so very humbled. I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And obviously you and I met through networking, and Eric too. So, I mean, there's a lot of power in that. And
Yeah.
obviously that's what chambers of commerce are there for. But what you've done since day one is just gotten involved. You've gone to the meetings, you've got involved doing this and doing that. You are the president of the Young Professionals Association over there in the Bristol Chamber, which obviously keeps you in close touch with the upper brass of the chamber. So, everything works out on really the word out there for all of you folks next year. If you want to make it happen, get out there and meet some people who can help you do that, share your ideas and so on and so forth. And, Care is a living vision here. The dreams do come true, although congrats on all the work you have to do.
There is a lot of work. I always tell people, go for your dreams, be thoughtful about it. That's always my advice to people is, yes, go for it, just be thoughtful about it. And part of that being thoughtful is networking and growing your connections. And it may not come back in 6 weeks, maybe it comes back in 2 years. You never know who you meet today, like how they will impact you in your future, and vice versa.
Plus, getting to know other people is a whole lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, it's the best.
A lot of people go originally to networking meetings and they're all shy walking in there, clamming up and so on and so forth. But once you get used to it, realize that it's all about relationships. And all you got to do is just introduce yourself and ask somebody about themselves and get them talking. It's that easy to break the ice. But you will develop, and I know you've already developed a whole lot of close friendships, but Eric and I mean, our contact list of really good friends that we've made over the years is just amazing. So, because relationship, it's not just for business, it's for everything out there. So the more positive things you have, the better off you are. So it's great to see where you were when I first met you and where you are right now, but it doesn't surprise me a bit because I could tell right away who you are.
You're so kind. I appreciate it. It has been, gosh, I remember sitting at Panera with you and talking about everything. So I think I had just left my full-time job and everything was absolutely terrifying and overwhelming. And I guess not much has really changed since then, because I'm still very overwhelmed some days and terrified some days and celebrating other days. It's that small business roller coaster that we all kind of hop on.
Yep. No, that's part of your resume now. Experienced at succeeding when overwhelmed. There you go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the Bristol Bazaar is just the ultimate example of how collaboration works, because so many small business people think, oh, they're in this alone, they don't have people to depend on, and look how much better it works when you're working with other people. You had folks from the chamber getting you information. You're stepping out to get, to collaborate with other makers. It's all about the collaboration. And without that, a project like this wouldn't take off.
Yeah, I do agree with that. And to expand on that, even some things I didn't mention. So with our makers, we do charge a rent, obviously, for the space per month. But we're not just charging you for a table or a vendor cart and for us to sell your product. So again, expanding on that collaboration note, we have a lot of different aspects within the Bristol Bazaar under our umbrella, so to say, that we offer to our makers. One of them is access to a space that we call our think tank. So our think tank is also known as a conference room or a collaboration space. It's going to be very beautiful, very inspirational. It could act as a lot of things. So a lot of our side hustlers have full-time jobs, and maybe they just want a space to come in and meet with their clients so that they're not meeting at like a Starbucks or in their home, in their basement. Like that's where Eric and I started. So giving them space like that to either have that quiet time or time away from their kids, or they just need like a quiet space to think. They have access to that whenever we are open. We also are going to be providing networking, of course. So once a month, we'll be providing networking for all of our makers to meet, collaborate, talk about ideas. But also I want to utilize that time for them to give us feedback. So it's really important for Eric and I that we hear the people that we're helping. If we hear, the communication is really great, but this area over here, really, maybe we could try it this way. Maybe that would be better. That type of transparency is really valuable in helping us help our makers. And then lastly, something else that we're going to be having is a monthly speaker series. So once a month, our makers will have access to this more privatized event. We'll come in, sure, we'll have cocktails, but we're going to have different speakers come and talk about all these different elements of a small business. So whether it's someone who is a side hustler and is totally cool with side hustling, but wants to maybe learn different ways to market their product, or maybe they want to become an LLC, but they don't know who to talk to do that. Maybe you don't want to get swindled online, like happens to a lot of people. And so we'll have different people come in and talk about all these different things, like Chip could come in and talk about networking, and Eric could come in and talk about coaching and marketing. And there's so many different topics that, again, Eric and I wish we had when we were growing Dusty Dude, that we want to just give. We just want to give it back. So all of that is included in the monthly rent for our artisans.
And of course, as Kara and I have previously discussed, we will be launching a new live networking event every month run by Empower Business Connection at the Bristol Bazaar. So we are looking forward to that. It's been a long time since we've had our in-person meetings. Everything's been virtual for the past few years. So that's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I am so excited. We've got it on the calendar. I cannot wait. You guys are the first people that I think we've got booked in the space right now. And I can't wait to see it just full of people networking and just doing all the things we love.
Can you add me to your list of invitees?
Sure.
Yeah, I think we can manage that.
That's fantastic.
So I want to take a step back and explore, where did the idea for the Bristol Bazaar come from?
That is a great question. So this idea came, I feel like this is a new phrase, pre-COVID. And Eric and I were traveling out west, and we found a space that really inspired us. So it was an indoor market, approximately 10 by 10 stalls, kind of lined the perimeter of the space, and each maker didn't have to be present. They did have the centralized register, and we walked around, and we were in there for a good bit of time. I was like, wow, this is really unique. I've never seen anything like this. It's so eclectic, it's so different. And I love that the makers didn't have to be there. Some of them were, which was really cool. We got to talk to them. But as our trip kind of went along, and then the months following, we were like, wow, like we really liked that idea. We really liked it. there's nothing like it in Connecticut. How could we make it our own? And we love espresso martinis. So that's where the coffee cocktail lounge came from. We are partnering with another local business, which unfortunately I can't release their name just yet, but we will in the very near future. So more to come on that. But the interior design of the space is truly based off of places we love. So a mix between the Boston Common, so outdoor park feeling, or Central Park even, and you might laugh, but Las Vegas was a really big part for us because we love the Venetian, we love New York, where you felt like you were outside, but you were inside. And that was huge for us. We're like, that is the differentiator. We have that, we have the coffee cocktail lounge, and we have the event space, which this other business didn't have either. And it really allowed everybody to win. So the artisans are there with their product. The coffee cocktail lounge kind of does their own thing, but they draw in a crowd, which could then go over and shop. Maybe they want to come take a class. Maybe someone's coming to take a class and then ends up going to get a cocktail and then shops. Like there's so many different reasons for people to come and then to come back again, because it will never be the same experience every time. So that was really important to us, that people felt comfortable and excited that they would want to come back, support local business, support a local coffee shop, take a class, learn something, probably from one of our makers, or even maybe book an offsite meeting so you're not standing in or sitting in a conference room, staring at a white wall. So yeah, that's really where the design came from, but the need for it really came from the experiences that Eric and I had launching Dusty Dude. And without Dusty Dude, that experience of having, I laugh because it was so terrible, but we were lugging things from my in-laws' basement up the Bilco door, out their back lawn, into our sedans. We didn't have our van at that time, so we're shoving product in our sedans that are like sinking to the ground. We're puttering to all these different craft shows, unloading, wondering if it's going to be hot. Is it going to rain? Is the wind crazy? Is my tent going to blow over? Like all of these things come into play, and then it impacts your brand and how your products can be laid out. And then the other thing that was really important to us too, this is my last note, is for the people who are selling and the consumer. So both people keeping this in mind. When you're a consumer going to these craft shows, you are either going with the intent to buy, or you're going because it's a food truck festival or it's a musical festival. You're not necessarily going with the full intent to buy, or support any of the vendors that are there. You're like, oh, that's cute. And then it's a little uncomfortable because you're like, I'm really not going to buy from you, but I'm just going to look and walk away. And from the selling point of view, same frustrations, just a little bit, topsy-turvy. So you're there and you're like, oh, I really hope they come. I really hope they come over. I know I'm here. There's food trucks, but like, are they going to? Oh, they're coming over. Hi. And you get really excited, and then you talk a lot, and then then they get scared, and then the people walk away. So that's why we're not encouraging people to necessarily be there to sell their product. We will do that for you. If people have questions, you can display your product however you would like. It is your brand that is really important to us. But we want our makers to be able to go out and do other shows or do whatever their other priorities are. And we want our customers that are coming in to feel comfortable and have that relaxed shopping experience.
No,
That's fantastic. And, it's funny, as you're talking about putting the merchandise in the sedan and dragging it up, I started laughing because my first business back in the 90s, we sold pop culture collectibles as part of the business, and we had to do those shows every weekend. And we would pile up all of the merchandise into two cars, one of which had my then 1-year-old son in the car seat, and we had to pile stuff around the car seat to get everything there. So yes, I appreciate the need for the van.
Yeah, that was I don't miss that time. and then lugging things in and out when it was pouring rain, and we
Yeah.
have a wood product. So we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? So we're wrapping things in towels. Yeah. So that, again, you move into the bazaar and you don't have to move out until your contract is up.
And that's it. It makes things so much simpler for them. But, you came up with this idea because of all of the different obstacles that you faced. And it just goes to show, though, that as these obstacles come up, we talk so much about the positive mindset. This is the epitome of that, because you didn't look at it and went, oh, okay, that's it. We can't do this. You just figured out a way to do it.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a very good point.
And I know you are very, very good at social media and just getting the word out and so on and so forth. I think, what you should do, just like a one-time thing, is put together a documentary of your whole lives together, which takes you from point A to point B. Get that up on YouTube and so on and so forth. And maybe it's a tutorial as far as how to do it and how not to do it. But, obviously you have a lot of people in chambers that that do videos and stuff like that. But the story is so interesting. But what's really cool is you're talking about the vision that you have and the design. I mean, just seeing things just by being there. And if you go to your website, which I'm sure you'll give us the website address there, I mean, the drawing that you had there is what inspired me to reach out to you and say, I want to go see the place. And then I walked into an empty building. But you have everything there laid out so that people can really understand what it is. And it's done beautifully too. I mean, basically it's got everything there that looks warm, cozy, friendly, fun, that whole thing. So obviously you got to make sure that you let people know where that is, but that kind of explains the whole thing. But vision is so important, and having, your life's partner to do that and share that with. And I know we talked about this before too. It's just something where you're just building on it and building on it and building on it. And it's fun. It's not even work. It is got it going, but it's just so fun. I feel so happy for you guys.
Thank you. Yeah, I was thinking about it this morning because Eric is just back in the shop now after dealing with this virus that's going around. And the last couple of days, it was just me in the shop office, managing behind the scenes of both businesses. And I was like, wow, it's really sad to be here without hearing him tinkering around in the shop on the wall behind me. It was it was weird. We work really well together. I mean, like any couple, we have days where you're like, are you listening? Do you hear what I'm saying? But the amount of just, I don't even know, positivity and love and passion that we have for doing the things that we do, it is amazing that Match.com brought us together.
Other modern technology. If you were Erickson my age, it never would have happened. I'm just kidding. Anyway, you talked about how the structure goes and how people are going to be able to rent things and so on and so forth. And tell us a little bit about the structure, because I know you have very, very flexible plans as far as that goes and how people are applying. And I know you're basically full right now and have a waiting list of other businesses that are rolling in and out. So explain how that whole thing works.
Yeah, sure. So it's super easy. The big thing that we ask is that anybody who applies just confirm with yourself that your products that you want to sell are all made by hand. That's super important to us. We are not looking to, do reselling and things like that. Really looking for people to get creative. But yeah, you can go to our website, which is thebristolbazaar.com, BAZAAR. I know it's a weird one. And go there. You can check out the whole website, but if you go to the makers page at the top, scroll to the bottom, super short, sweet application process. Right, that'll kind of automate things. Within 24 hours after you submit that, you'll receive all of the pricing and information there. And like I was saying earlier, so we have the 3 different options for vending. We have the pit table, we have our vendor carts, and our retail stores. So currently we have sold out of our retail stores for the first 3 months that we're open. Our vendor carts are all booked for the first 3 months except for one. So if anybody would like to claim that, do that. And then pit tables. So we have a slew of pit tables available. They are starting to book up now. And we anticipate that they will likely fill up either right before or right after the new year, just depending on how things go. But yeah, so each of those spaces, so the table, the vendor cart, or the retail space, all are a different price structure. Obviously, you get different perks with different ones. So the table is a 90 by 30 table, which is slightly larger than a table you would have at a regular craft fair. And we also provide you with a tier. So the vendor cart is really neat because you get that 360 access as a consumer. So you can have your products all the way around. And I just think that they're stinking adorable. So I love them. And I think that they add a lot of really cool character to the space. And then the retail space, 9 by 5, you get a customized awning. So we can put your logo, your contact information. That's all included in your rent with us. And then you also get a 3-foot table that you can choose to use or not use, totally up to you. And then the walls in the space are all slat walls. So that allows us to be very customizable to the type of product you want. Maybe you want more shelves, maybe you want more bins, totally up to you. And yeah, so those all vary based off of season. So something like in October, November, December, those 3 months are considered our high months. That's holiday shopping. That's like right now. And that is the most expensive. And then it goes down from there. So I think it's, what are we? January, February, March, April, May, June are considered our low months. And then we pick back up over the summer. So you would get all that information 24 hours after you apply. And then also I'm hosting tours and doing a lot of virtual meetings and phone calls with people as well, just to talk through. There's a lot of different things with different types of makers that you have to think about. So just talking through any questions they might have.
Very cool. Now, I know you can't give away any names yet, but through the application process, have there been any maker products that really just grabbed your attention that you went, this is so cool?
Let's see. I love all of them. There's one maker who's working with us who is an artist, and I want to think of like the best way to explain this. So she will design something, say it's a floral print. And then from that floral print that she has now drawn or painted, she creates a line of products. So it could be charcuterie boards, glassware, art you can hang on the wall. Like it's a whole product line based off of this one image. And that I had never seen before out in the maker world. So I thought that was really, really neat and different. And makes her really stand out. And then I know we were talking earlier, I was talking with a girl last night, and she is in the process of working on her first coloring book. So again, another visual artist, and she is working through that process. So we're really hoping to be able to work with her when that time comes and she gets published, because I would be first in line to buy something like that. I just bought one this weekend. So I wish that I had known that. But yeah, there's so many, but those are 2 for now that have really stuck out.
Very cool.
Wow.
All right. Well, we are just about at the end of our time. So I know you said it earlier, but for those people that would like to get more information about the Bristol Bazaar, how can they do so?
Yes. So visit our website, thebristolbazaar.com, BAZAAR, or give me a phone call. I'm accessible most hours of the day. It's 860-222-0922. And you can follow us on social media. So Facebook and Instagram. Our TikTok is a little sad right now, so you could follow that for the future. And we also have a newsletter. So I send out a monthly newsletter, which you can also sign up for on our website homepage at the bottom.
Fantastic. Chip, what do you think is the big takeaway for this week?
Well, I always talk about obstacles to opportunities, and what you are is all about opportunities and just making things happen. It's the yes and versus the yes but, and the 2 of you get going and magic happens. And it's nice having ARPA and some other resources out there to take advantage of, and people who turn you onto this that you didn't even know. That's what relationships are all about. That's what appreciating people is all about, and that's what giving back is all about. So It's just so wonderful that you are in the space that you're in. It didn't happen by accident. And look out, world, for Bristol Bazaar next year and some other wonderful things to come, I'm sure, from Care and Eric. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks so much for being on. I think for me, the big takeaway is just the power of collaboration and the power of opportunity. Keep your eyes open for people you can work with and opportunities you can take advantage of. You never know where they're going to come from. So, it's very important that you're open to it.
Mm-hmm.
You've been listening to the Success Showcase. You can catch us every week. It's xvadio.com/podcasts, the Apple Podcasts app, Google Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, Audible, and wherever you find podcasts. Remember, make this your best week ever and make next week even better. We'll see you then.